Hey everybody, welcome to the Prowess Podcast. My guest today is Chandler Bolt. Chandler Bolt is the author of 6 best-selling books. He's featured in Entrepreneur, Business Insider, Fast Company, all outlets that I know you guys want to be in as some of your goals. And he's best known as the creator of Self-Publishing School. Self-Publishing School is featured in the Inc. 5000 list as one of the 5,000 fastest growing private companies in America. And what it is, we're going to talk about it in a minute, but it's an online education company that teaches people how to write, market, and publish their first book in as little as 90 days. So what's cool about this is all you guys who feel like you have a message and a mission buried inside of you and you really want to get out there and make a bigger difference. Chandler's helped over 4,500 students write and publish their books. So if you are someone who wants to step forward as a thought leader, which I know you do, you're going to want to listen to this. We are going to be talking about what it takes to get your first book written, and more importantly, how to leverage it on the back end to propel yourself to a power player status in your industry and charge accordingly. And we are going to talk about a brilliant upcoming live event that Chandler has scheduled, Author Advantage Live. So Chandler, welcome to Prowess Podcast.
Ashley, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited. So, this is such an impressive, background. I mean, you're making such a big difference in the world. How did it all get started? Take me back to the beginning with Chandler, a few years ago, you want to write a book, how to get started.
Yeah. So it's funny, as a C-level English student and a college dropout, I feel like I'm the least likely person to end up going to write multiple books and then now run a school and self-publishing school. But it all started, probably much like you with your book and much like other folks who listen to your podcast is, I felt like I had these things that I'd learned the hard way that I wanted to teach other people. So the internal obligation to share this thing that I'd learned outweighed my fears of writing. And so I went to a mentor of mine, his name's Adam Carroll. And I said, Adam, how'd you do this? He introduced me to this process of writing a book. And then he kind of showed me the process. I wrote my first one, and then we just started doing it again and again. And then people started asking, and I dropped out of school, and people started asking how we were doing this. And it's kind of one of those things where I was focused on a business at the time that was just failing. And meanwhile, everyone wanted to know how I was doing the books.
Wow.
So they kept asking. And I just get on the phone with them for free and just to be a nice person and just tell them everything I knew in like an hour and say, good luck. Hope this helps. And then finally, so many people were asking that we said, we should try to create an actual business around this. And then ever since, it's just kind of been blowing up, and we've been able to help a ton of people write and publish books, and a lot of lives be changed through those books.
Well, that's the thing I want people to hear is this business was built on the back of service. Like what you said, you were afraid, right? Like writing a book is scary. I remember when I was getting started, it's like, wait, how do you do that? How do you put 150 words on a page or your 150 pages in a book? What was the secret that you came to where you were like, oh my gosh, it's easier than I think? Or like, what kind of got you to that first action step?
Yeah. I think it was really when I started breaking down the writing process and with my mentor, and he kind of talked me through it. And then I think it was also just setting a short-term goal. I like setting goals, and I like setting long-term goals sometimes, but really for me, I think a lot more often than that, it's like, what's my very next step? And what's my 30-day, 90-day, 6-month, maybe a year? And if I execute on that, then I'm going to be able to do crazy things in 3 to 6 years. But if I try to plan all that out now, I'm just going to freak myself out and not make meaningful progress. So it was all just about, all right, I want to do this. So let's try to write the rough draft in a week. And so that's what me and my brother did. And then, all right, now let's try to get this thing published. Okay, now let's try to, and just like kind of stair-stepping my way through the process. And so I think when we started doing what we teach now, which is the mind map, outline, write process, when we started going through that, I started to realize, oh man, this is much easier than I thought it would be to get a rough draft finish, which for anyone who's listening to this, who's thinking about doing a book, that is the singular milestone to be laser focused on. And that's what we always talk to people about is get the rough draft finished first. And then you can start to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you start to believe that this is possible.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we just try to focus people on, especially when working with our students. It's nothing matters until you have your rough draft finished. So I think by shortening that down into a week and saying, all right, we're going to get a rough draft in a week. Then after the week was over, it was as if the draft was done, So it was like, all right, well, or the very rough draft was done. So it was like, all right, now feels like we're rolling downhill versus, all right, we're going to drag this out and over 2 years try to get a rough draft done. And meanwhile,
oh my gosh,
there's so many opportunities to just get derailed and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, it's so overwhelming. And also in the world we live in, it's so distracting. It's like, you need to take action. You take action now. And it's so much easier if you just get words on the page, just get words on the page, which for you took a week. And yes. I feel like maybe people don't realize that it actually doesn't have to take as long as you think.
Right. Oh, 100%. Yeah. We've got, there's a post on our blog. We can link it up in the show notes. It's like our process for writing, but in one of the videos on there, I talk about the speaking process, which for a lot of folks that do publicity, I feel like this works a lot easier is you can actually speak the book. And so kind of we do the, 10 minutes of mind mapping the chapter, 10 minutes of turning that mind map into an outline, and then either 45 minutes to an hour and a half writing the chapter or 10 minutes speaking the chapter. So a lot of folks that we work with, they end up doing the speaking process, which just saves a ton of time and makes it a whole lot faster.
Yeah, everybody can talk for 10 minutes, right? It's like easiest thing in the world.
I could talk for a lot longer than that.
You and me both. Okay, so you get people to write this book in 90 days. Is that your proven method? So people come to you, say, Chandler, I want a book. And you say, great, in 90 days it's done?
Exactly. Yeah, it's kind of like a business accelerator, but for a book. So it's an accelerant. And we always say it's kind of like running a 5K or a 10K or something. They have the pace bunnies. It's like if you want to run a 7-minute mile, you run with this person. If you want to run a 6-minute mile, you run with this person. If you want to run like a 13-minute mile, run with this person. So we have that for sure. Some people say 90 days or bust. Some people want to do it even faster than that. Some people, they're like, hey, I don't need to do it in 90 days. This is a 6-month, 12-month project for me. So we kind of have, you can run at your own pace, but certainly a lot of it is geared towards 90 or maybe 180 days. Just what's the fast track? And then we have literally, it's a toggle when people log into the membership portal. It's a toggle. It's like, oh, you want to do it in 90 days? Here's your day-by-day plan for the whole entire thing.
Oh my gosh.
And maps it out.
That's so brilliant. And my people are action takers. So you guys, we need to break this down right now. So Chandler's saying, okay, you can have a book in 90 days. So this podcast is probably going to come out around September 1st. So that means you guys, you could have a book by 2020.
That's right. In time for Christmas, maybe even in time for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. A lot of people buying books on Cyber Monday.
Oh my gosh. Book launch on Cyber Monday. Book launch on Cyber Monday, and then holiday gift guides. Give it to your friends.
Yeah.
I'm sold. Okay. So that is awesome. When you started writing your book the first time, and did you do self-publish or did you do kind of traditional publisher?
Yeah, we and I self-published, and that's traditionally been the path that we've taken. And so, there is kind of a lot of folks may be wondering, traditional publisher, self-published. Mm-hmm. Like obviously I'm a little bit biased because I run a company called Self-Publishing School. Mm-hmm. But I will say that I've done a lot of research into this. And I know I've got a lot of friends are on both sides of the aisle, and I've also looked at and turned down more traditional publishing deals. So it just for 99% of people, it does not make sense. So the main appeal to traditionally publishing is that you have distribution. And previously, distribution was the only way to sell books. So if your book wasn't in bookstores, it wasn't going to sell. And so you needed a publisher to get into bookstores. Well, now over 70% of all books sold are sold on Amazon, and you don't need a publisher to sell on Amazon. So really there's been this huge shift away from traditional publishing and towards self-publishing. And we've actually, we own another property called selfpublishing.com. And we're like, as we speak, we're building out this kind of cool little, the mock-ups. I just saw them today actually, but we're building out like this this book royalties calculator where you can literally put in like, oh, I'm indie published, traditional published, or self-published, and it'll spit out what the difference is in the royalty rates that you're going to make.
Wow.
Like that. But the TLDR, the long and short of it is you make more money, obviously per book and on a royalty basis, self-publishing. Now, some people would say you're going to be able to sell more books, but just what we found is it often isn't the case with traditional publishers because, there's this myth that people think that traditional publishers are going to market their book for them, but they don't. You still have to do all the marketing. So if you're Gary Vaynerchuk or Tony Robbins or someone who wants maybe a foreign rights deal or to do a lot of stuff internationally, or if this is a credibility play for you, you're trying to make New York Times list, which that's a topic for another day. I mean, that's 10 to 12,000 copies in a week. It's a flawed list. It's an editorial list. So it's not a true bestseller list. Like, I think a lot of people get blinded by that chase, but if none of those things can be said about you, like you're not going for international or New York Times or any of those things, then really self-publishing is the best option. And it's a way to make a whole lot more money from the book itself. And then I think what's most important, at least for me, is keep the creative control.
Yes.
So I can run ads for my books. I can log in and see the sales stats. I can do all of these things that I know my friends, when I tell them, oh, you can do X, Y, Z, you'll sell way more books. They're like, oh, well, I don't have to log in to my book because my publisher owns that. Therefore, I can't run any Amazon ads. Or like there's all these things that you just can't do if you traditionally publish.
Right. And I mean, so you can take your book and use it as a lead magnet to build your list, and then boom, on the back end, you can close all your courses, all your coaching programs on the back end, which you cannot do that if you have a top 5.
Yeah, for sure. That's what we teach, and that's what we do all the time. Yeah. I mean, books are still the entry point for me. So we give away the audiobook in the beginning of the book, which works really well. We give away resources in the books. We use my book published as a free plus shipping funnel. So that leads into paying customers and things like that. So it's just a great driver for business.
Well, and what you did is you built a $12 million company off the back of a book. Mm-hmm. So anyone listening to this, it's like, if you don't have a book, you can't afford not to have a book at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
I mean, look what you've done with it. It's completely been the door opener for everything. And even let's talk about speaking, because I know that's something a lot of people want to do. What role do you think a book plays in getting you in the door there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know for me personally, it's opened up a ton of opportunities. So last year I spoke, I think it was 24 times.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of that, I mean, I didn't have a speaker promo video. I didn't have a fancy speaking website. I didn't have any of those things, but my books opened the doors to a lot of those things. And a lot of our folks, this is fun, but we had our youngest student, Emma Sumner. She was 8 years old when she wrote and published her first book. She did a speaking gig the other day for her school. I think she made like, gosh, what was it? I want to say it was like $1,200. They paid her a $250 speaking fee. And then she got to sell her books, and she sold a ton of books. So we have a lot of authors that use speaking as a way to sell books. For me personally, I use my books as a way to get booked to speak and as a value add. So I can say I'm going to bring 100 books with me, and that's $1,500 worth of books because the retail price is $15. I might pay $3, $4 at the absolute most for those. Mm-hmm. So it's a value add for the conference organizer. Mm-hmm. I give people books. We give them away like they're candy at the event, and oftentimes in exchange for contact info. So now we have all these people giving us their contact info, so we can follow up with them. A lot of those folks end up doing business with Self-Publishing School, but then also, and what's kind of cool is they get the book, and a lot of times they'll read it or start reading it on the plane ride home. And then a week or two later, they're booking a call with my team. They're signing up for Self-Publishing School. They're going on to do business with us. So I always say, a book is a silent salesman because I send it out into the world, and this does a lot of selling for me, and I'm not saying anything. The book's doing all the talking. And I don't have to pay the book a sales commission. There's no salary for this book. It's a free salesperson that's going out into the world and doing the sales for me. And it's building rapport. And just, yeah, so many times after the fact, people go on to do business with us. And so it's just been such an effective tool for business.
It's so genius. I love what you're saying, and you're absolutely right, because now, and I just love geeking out about business for a second and numbers, but the average lead is $12 on Facebook, or if you have a self-published book, you can get it for $2.50 or $3.
Exactly.
That's a lead. So you just saved yourself, however much you saved yourself, then you're making money on the back end.
Right. Exactly. And I mean, I look at it as it's my new business card. A business card might cost me 15 cents or whatever the cost for a business card is. Sure, it cost me $3.50 or something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, talk about so much more of a meaningful impact, because if you think about it, when you go to a conference, someone gives you a business card. If you're anything like me, you probably throw it away within 24 hours.
Yeah, same. Guilty.
Before you even leave the hotel. But if I give you a book, I feel like most people kind of like me in the sense that my mom taught me not to waste, right? So I'm not going to throw that thing away. I'm going to take it with me. And then it's in my office. It's in my house. And then every time I see that book, I think of you, right? Or every time they see that book, they think of me, if it's my book, right? So now there's just top of mind awareness, and say someone comes over to my office or to my house or whatever, they see that book, they say, oh, that looks interesting. And I might not even be interested in writing a book, which my book is about how to write a book. So it's like, I might not be interested in that, but the person that came over to my office, I say, oh, cool. Yeah, you can have it. So now all of a sudden they're referring business to me through my book, all because I first gave them a book that cost me $3-4.
Oh my gosh.
You're 100% right. Not only is it cheaper leads, in a lot of cases, you're getting paid to get leads when people buy your book and then end up opting into something, but also you're kind of giving a referral tool. So a lot of these conferences that we'll go to, we'll take a ton of books and we start giving people 2 books. And coming by and they're like, oh, my mom wants to write a book, or my friend wants to write a book. And so now we're giving them this tool that they can go out and get referrals, which if you want to talk about the cost of a lead versus the cost to acquire a customer, our cost to acquire a customer is hundreds of dollars, like about $1,000.
Yeah.
So if I can acquire a customer for a $3, $4 book, I will do that all day long.
Yeah.
And it's just such a cheaper, more efficient way to acquire customers.
Well, okay, so I'm sure at this point everyone's totally sold. It just makes great business sense to write a book if you want to be a thought leader at all. If you want to make an impact at all and you don't have a book, like, get to the starting line. I mean, that's really, and I felt it too. Like, so many people were getting booked to speak and I was like, I have so much to say on that topic, but there was no book in hand. So, I had to pony up and write it. But let's talk about the impact too, because the impact of the message and the impact to the business is huge. So what have you seen with 4,500 students at this point? What are people doing now that they do have their books, and what are some of the successes that they're having on the back end?
Yeah, I mean, it really is incredible. There's a lot of different ways. So there's kind of 2 or 3 ways I'll talk about. Like, number one is obviously the royalties themselves, which that's cool and is a great source of passive income. And you're not going to get rich overnight, obviously. And anyone who tells you that they have anything that will allow you to do that, you should just run away as fast as possible. But, I think what's cool about it is you're able to create an asset that, let's say 3 years from now, you sell 100 books in the month of August or the month of September, or any random month, right? Well, that's a few $100 in that month. So it's one of the, I think it's one of the few things that I've seen that's truly passive in that sense, because you're able to tap into an existing ecosystem. They keep bringing customers. Your book continues to rank, and then your book continues to sell. So there's that. There's the bringing leads in business, which is what we talked about, which, I mean, that's the biggest needle mover for a lot of folks that we work with, is bringing in tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in business on the back end. That's the part that I think is really, really, really exciting. And then the third prong is less about like the immediate financial ROI. And I think it's something I'm really passionate about. This is what we call leveraged impact. It's like the ability to impact others. And so we believe that books are just changing the way that people receive information, but they're changing the way that others are educated, in the sense that a lot of people are not, maybe they don't go to school, or maybe they drop out of college like I did, or something like that. But if you think of the way that information is passed from one person to another, it's usually, I'm telling you something, or I'm teaching you, or I'm teaching 20 people, or I'm teaching maybe 30 people, or maybe if I'm at a conference, a few hundred people, right? So it's one to one, or one to a small group. And that's the way information's been passed down for generations. I mean, even back to where history is being passed down. It's one to one, right? But then with books, there's what's called leveraged impact, at least that's what we call it, is, so there's kind of, when you write and publish a book, there's these three groups of people that you're impacting. Group number one, let's say it's like 200 friends and family members that they see you do this and they're inspired, and it challenges them to kind of believe that something else is possible, right? So for a lot of people, a book represents the impossible. So it's kind of this thing that they dreamed about doing. They didn't think that they could do it. So when your friends and family see you do that, they start to believe that it's possible, and they start to look around at their life and say, hey, what's that equivalent for me? So there's this, let's call it 200 people. And then there's your readers. So let's call that 1,000 people. So you have 1,000 people that read your book and are impacted by that book. And then you've got kind of the third bucket is one person in your life whose life is completely changed by this book. This could be one of your readers. This could be one of your friends, family members. This could be someone who says, holy cow, Ashley wrote a book. I want to lose weight. Like, that's my equivalent of writing a book. And so I just throw myself into that because you've inspired me. And that's where we talk about leveraged impact is you're able to exponentially impact a huge group of people, because instead of going one to one, you're going one to many, because you now got thousands of people reading this book, or in this case, you're impacting, we call it 1,200 people, just for simple math, right? Well, now, and especially if that one other person decides to write a book, it becomes kind of this ripple effect where you're impacting such a significantly larger amount of people. And then, I mean, couple that with what you teach with PR and stuff like that. It's like, okay, now that book opens the door for you to be on TV, or for you to be on Business Insider or something like that. Well, then now the leveraged impact just kind of continues to grow and grow and grow. So there's the financial side, and then there's what I get really excited about as well, which is the actual people to people, like helping people improve their lives through the power of books.
It is so powerful. It's changing the world. I want to share a story that dovetails into what you just said. So not only is it the leverage impact of your immediate friends and family and all the thousands of people that could read the book, but also it's a dream come true for you. Like, so many people, I'm sure, anyone listening to this, you have a message inside. It's in the fibers of your being. You wake up in the morning and it's the first thing you think about. In the private conversation with a friend over coffee, you're telling them this message that no one else has, and it is your dream come true. And I know this, and I've seen this so many times. I was just promoting the former president of Oprah Winfrey Network, Sherry Salata's new memoir. Now, she's done everything. She's gone from 7-Eleven store manager to the president of Oprah Winfrey Network. You would think she had it all, but her dream come true was a book. And when she wrote it, walking her through the launch week and all the feelings and exhilaration and joy of having people read her life story and her message that she wants to pass on. And one thing she said is like, if not now, maybe never. And walking her through that and seeing the world celebrate her, she walked into, like you said, Chandler, a moment where she was on the Today Show. She was on Dr. Oz. She had served thousands and millions of people through her job, but it was her book that gave her the moment to share a message, and dozens of podcasts. And that's what people need to realize is, it's a dream come true for you, but it does also give you that moment to be in all the outlets that you've always dreamed of as well.
100%. That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, it fires me up. So people come to me and they say, okay, Ash, I have this book, but now what? And what you've talked about is, there's so many things you can do. I think so many people put effort in the front end of writing the thing, but we need to talk about Author Advantage live, because this is going to change the game for people because it talks about what to do after the book and how to get that growth. So what do people need to know? Let's say, okay, they're saying, Chandler, I'm going to write this book by 2020. It's going to be in hand. I'm giving it as gifts for the holidays. Now what? What should people be expecting to really maximize the opportunity for themselves?
Yeah, well, so Author Advantage Live, it's kind of it's the event that we wish we had. We were just getting started, especially. So it's really meant for people who want to make a bigger impact and make a bigger income from their book. So the mission and purpose of the event is to help folks sell 10,000 copies of their book. So it's like, how do we sell more books and impact more lives through those books? So it's kind of divided into 3 days. We've got the foundations and what we call kind of like the fundamentals of a bestseller. So many people, by the time they launch or even after they launch, they don't have the fundamentals covered. So it's the whole, you can't put lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig. So this is just not going to sell, right? So making sure that you've got the foundations really aligned both for your business, both for your book, and how does this tie into your business, or how does this tie into something bigger? Then day number 2 is all about how to sell more books. So we've got some awesome folks coming. We've got Nathan Latka, who sold a ton of copies of his book, How to Be a Capitalist Without Any Capital. We've got Hal Elrod, author of The Miracle Morning, has sold 1.7 million copies of that book. And has turned that into a series, international rights, the whole deal. We've got Dave Chesson of Kindlepreneur, kindlepreneur.com. And he's got just some really, really good stuff on Amazon ads, on booked, like how to get the most out of the Amazon ecosystem. So you got a bunch of stuff like that. And then day 3, it's all about how to leverage your book to increase your income. So really, how do you, all right, now that I've got this book, how do I turn this into course sales, coaching clients, things like that? So how do you make sure that you're utilizing this as a tool to grow your business? And we just feel like holistically, whether you're someone who's just in the writing phase and trying to get this book done, whether you're someone who's like, hey, I want to sell more books, like we call them successful launch Sallys and failed launch Freds. So we get a bunch of failed launch Freds showing up and successful launch Sallys, and either way, they're trying to figure out, hey, what's next?
Right.
So how do I sell more of these books long term? Or for folks who are looking to really, all right, I've got the book, now how do I build this into a business? That's what the event's all about. So we're super excited. It's going to be a jam-packed agenda. And then really one of the things I'm most excited about is I think these events are amazing because you learn so much, but I think the flaw of most events is you don't have practical next steps.
Yeah.
So what we're really drilling down is into, all right, the 90 days after the event, how do you execute on what you learn? And in fact, it's kind of a little sneak peek secret thing here, but we're rolling out a brand new product at the event. It's what we're calling our SPS Author Success Journal. And so it's an actual journal that's a 90-day journal where you make your goals for the 90 days, for 30 days, for the next week, stuff like that. So we'll literally be rolling those out. Everyone who shows up will get the first copy of these journals, and then we'll be walking them through that. And so they literally have a 90-day goals and then a journal to hold them accountable to those 90-day goals. And it's all about helping you achieve your number one author goal in the 90 days following the event. So really focused on learning, yes, meeting really great people, yes, but probably more importantly, actually utilizing what you learned in the 90 days following the event.
Oh my gosh, that is so exciting. I did not know that you were going to say that. That's really exciting. That's going to be so helpful. I mean, the tools and the tactics are where it's at because, you can have inspiration all day, but if you don't implement, it's not going anywhere. So a lot of people, one thing you said was about the bestseller thing, because a lot of people think bestseller just happens. And it's like, oh, I cross my fingers and I really, really, really hope, and I'm going to do a million affirmations about this and manifest this bestseller. And they don't realize, there's a process and a team, and there's a campaign you have to run, and you have to dial that in and make sure that it's ready. So talk to me a little bit about that. Are you going to be teaching how to get a bestseller at this event?
Yes, we are. Yeah. So that'll probably be somewhat on day 1 and then also on day 2. So it's
Oh
how
my
do
gosh.
you run a successful bestseller campaign? How do
Mm-hmm.
you build a launch team? Things like that,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can launch successfully. But then again, with the fundamentals of the bestseller, that this is, we talk about the Toyota Camry versus the sports car
Mm-hmm.
launch. So what most people do is a sports car launch, shoo, flies by. It burns up a lot of fuel, makes a
Yeah.
lot of noise. It's really exciting. It's really flashy, but then it's gone and you never see it again. And
Yeah.
what we try to do is help people kind of engineer what we would call a Toyota Camry launch.
Okay.
So it's sure it's not as flashy, but it keeps on going.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, we want you to still be selling books. And if you
Yes.
have these fundamentals in place, that's what you're going to be doing, and you're kind of perpetually selling books versus making a lot of noise, burning out, and then never wanting to talk about the book again.
Oh my
You
gosh.
just
Yeah.
do everything for 1 week, and then it's just all gone. So really focusing and honing in on how do you have that Toyota Camry that, it has over 200,000 miles on it. It's still trucking, still getting great gas mileage, and still impacting people and bringing in leads and business years from now.
That is genius. So basically what I'm hearing is people say, okay, I'm going to write this book with you, Chandler, and I'm going to get started in September, but they really should be at Author Advantage Live to plan the launch, because
100%.
they're getting the book out in 90 days, but you have to plan the launch in advance.
Right.
So you need to be in the room to get this done the right way by 2020.
Right. Yeah. We have people kind of in all phases. So some people, they've just joined us and they're like, all right, I'm going to be there and this is going to kickstart. This is going to be a starting point. Mm-hmm. Some people are using this as a backstop, or I've got to have my rough draft done by Author Advantage Live. Some people are doing the launch right before Author Advantage Live. So then they have to get some feedback. We're buying each other's books. We're checking stuff out. That can be a catalyst for them and for their launch. So we kind of got people in all different phases.
Amazing. Let's say someone already has a book,
Mm-hmm.
someone listening to this, because I work with a lot of authors, they have a book, but they feel like they missed that. They were a failed launch, Freddie. They were,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't get bestseller, and they are like, shoot, I missed my window. It's been out a year.
Mm-hmm.
Is Author Advantage something that would help them? Is it too late to get bestseller? Talk to me about if this would be a fit for them.
Yeah, this absolutely would be a fit. And we have a lot of folks who join to relaunch their book. The same principles will apply. We're going to teach the fundamentals of a bestseller, all those things. So it'll still apply. And people relaunch. And then we've had people, we had one lady, she had launched 30 books before, and before working with us. And she took what we taught and launched a book, and that book was more successful than all 30 of those books combined.
Wow.
So a lot of times when people have already launched the book, they think they know everything.
Right.
There's a lot more to it. And as far as marketing goes, that's just the piece that we're really good at. So we're going to teach that in depth, and especially for folks who are relaunching a book, it would be helpful.
This is so exciting. Okay. Well, so I always say, get yourself in the room with people who can teach you and get in the front row. So I hope people are listening to this saying, okay, Author Advantage Live sounds like something that could be really cool and fun. I'm excited because I'm speaking there, and we're going to be offering you guys something really special about how to promote the book, and specifically how to take the marketing secrets of how I take the most powerful messages in your book and put them in the hands of high-end media outlets like Fast Company or Forbes or Inc., giving you instant credibility. So anyone who's feeling like, okay, I've had this book for 6 months, it was a failed launch, I didn't get bestseller, I didn't get any media outlets, you need to be in the room, because you're going to talk about how you could actually still get bestseller, and then you could actually get in those top tier media outlets by the end of the year. Is that what you're telling us, Chandler?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
That's so exciting. Okay. So we need to talk about when it is, where it is, if people want to join. It's sort of intimate. It's not just for, everyone and their cousin, but the tickets are selling. I know, that's already happening. So talk to us about where people are going and how we're all going to be partying together.
Yeah. So, yeah, tickets are selling really fast, which is exciting. This is our first ever live event. We've done a bunch of small events, but this is our first ever large scale event. And we've just been blown away at the response. So, there'll be anywhere from 200 to 300 people there. It's going to be really exciting. It's September 20th through the 22nd in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
So if you've never been to Austin, Texas, it's one of my favorite cities in the country. And it's awesome. So I'm always looking for an excuse to go to Austin. So if you're looking for an excuse to go to Austin, or maybe you're not. And
Are you bringing your boots? That's what I need to know.
I will probably bring some boots.
Okay, I'm bringing mine. I'm from Texas. I don't know if did you know that?
I didn't know you were from Texas. I'm from South Carolina though. So I got some boots in the closet. I'll bust them out. I can't promise I'll wear them on stage, but they will be there. So it's September 20th through the 22nd. Super exciting. And we've got a super special deal and link for folks who are joining via Ashley. So if you want to tell them about that, we've got some special pricing, discounts, stuff like that.
Okay, so here's the deal, guys. There is a secret link. And I'm not even going to tell you what it is, but I'm going to tell you where it is. So there's a secret link just for me. It's not available anywhere publicly. I'm partnering with Chandler specifically for you guys because I hear like every other day someone who has a book who wants to get out there, which Author Advantage will teach you how to do, or who wants a book and like desperately needs this, like you need air to breathe. And Author Advantage Live is going to be where it's at. So I partnered with Chandler. We got a secret link. It's going to be linked in the show notes. When you go there, Chandler's generously offered you guys a special deal that is like you can't afford not to take it. Like Chandler built a $12 million company off the back of one book, and now he has 6 best-selling, books. If you can't get yourself in the room for this, I just don't know. Your business is not going to be where it could be, and I say that with conviction. Here's the deal. I'm going to be there. I was born in Texas. I'm going to bring my boots. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer the first 5 people who get a ticket with my special link. I'm going to offer you guys a 30-minute one-on-one private strategy session live in Texas. So we're going to have coffee. I'm going to be speaking on stage. You'll hear amazing game-changing solutions about how to get featured in Forbes and Fast Company and Inc. and Entrepreneur and all these places you want to be. So I'm going to teach that, but I'm going to customize it for you there. So the first 5 people who get a ticket, I'm going to give you a 30-minute private strategy session, one-on-one, just you and me. The first 10 people who get a ticket, so those next 5, don't feel like you missed out. I will give you a 30-minute private strategy session on video at a time of your choosing. And we're going to do a mastermind on site, right? Is that what you said, Chandler? We're doing a mastermind together?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So with the mastermind deal, that's for everybody who's going to be in the room. So it's going to be cool. We're going to have champagne. We're going to toast to your success. And we are going to talk about publicity and promotion of the book. But if you want to have that private time with me for that custom strategy, you really need to click and take action now, because I know my audience, you guys are action takers, and every single person I talk to wants to have a book or has a book. So you really need to click the secret link and go get your hands on that. So with people wanting to come, Chandler, is there anything else that they need to know about how to make the most of this experience, or more about the event when they're there?
Yeah, I mean, just like it's going to be amazing, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and soak it up, meet people. It's funny. We've got a blog post on our blog that's 5 ways to make the most of Author Advantage Live.
Yes.
Check that out once you grab a ticket. There's also a Facebook event. So you can click going on that Facebook event once you get your ticket, and there's some cool stuff happening in there. But it's going to be really exciting. And I think the big thing for me is that people come with an open mind and an open heart. So you're ready to learn, and then you're also ready to help the people around you. Everybody in our audience and people that are coming are they're very much, how can I help the people around me, not how can I take.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of the vibe of the event. So it's going to be good vibes all around, and authors helping other authors and just helping each other. So it's going to be a really, really good time.
Yeah. Well, you're such a giver, Chandler, and that's why you're helping so many people. And we're looking for givers. So if you guys feel like you're a giver, you're generous, you want to help make, make a million people's lives change with your book, then you guys need to come to Texas, get yourself there, and we'll see you in September. And then Chandler, people are so inspired by what you said. I know that they're starting to think that a book's actually possible for them. So where can people find you?
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook. I'm old school. I don't have any other social media. And then you can go to self-publishingschool.com. We got a lot of really good resources there.
Amazing. Okay, guys, so I'm going to see you in my home state in September. We'll see you in Texas. And Chandler, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Ashley.